Thanks for tuning in to the Traumaplicity podcast with Dr. Amanda Helman, an author, cognitive release coach, consultant, and speaker. Dr. Amanda Helman has guests on the podcast who have overcome different areas of trauma and provided hope for the audience. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Traumaplicity podcast with your host, Dr. Amanda Helman. I'm so excited for you to tune in. We have Traumaplicity podcast every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Dr. Amanda Helman author and speaker page, on the Traumaplicity podcast on YouTube, and also the audio version of the Traumaplicity podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, and you name it. And the big point of Traumaplicity is that trauma is an event, a single event, or a negative experience, or many things that happen. And the simplicity is helping our brain know that we can take simple steps to shift our brain and then use simple strategies, the brain likes simple, to move forward. And so this series is all about your beliefs. I'm actually launching a book coming up with the top 20 beliefs that a lot of us don't like to share that hinder us, and we want to break those. And so part of this series is me highlighting 10 of those beliefs, and then I have the honor and privilege of bringing on some of my current or past clients who really have done coaching with me individually or in a group setting, and seeing where they are now, and really just hearing their heart about where they're at and how they're moving forward. And I hope you enjoy this. And today, without further ado, I have the honor and privilege of having Elizabeth McMullen on. And Elizabeth is a licensed professional counselor in Arkansas. She is a wife and a mom of 3 children, and she enjoys spending time outside as she is now, which is perfect for this, for our interview. So Elizabeth, thanks so much for being on here with me.
Yeah. Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So Elizabeth, just wanted to catch up, and it's so nice before we even started catching up with you. I wanted to see how has coaching helped you?
So just one way that it has helped me is, which I know that, your background is with, counseling, or some of your background is with counseling. And so some of the things that we did in coaching, I do with my own clients. So I just took my favorite bits of that and use it in office.
Good. Yeah, a lot of coaching, just encouraging people forward, but a lot of listening skills, a lot of communication. So I'm glad you're able to use some of that with your clients in a different realm, which is in the counseling area. So what belief has shifted for you, thinking about the time, you've been in group coaching, we did some of that, right, with all the internal thinking, as well as individually.
So for me, I would say the one, and I would say that it's perfection. I'm not going to say that it's definitely not a full shift, but I feel like now there's like a foot in the door. I had perfection was something that I really, really, really struggled with, and didn't even know that I struggled with it. It was just something I just really chased. So anyway, I think with the coaching, just like over and over and over, I realized that relationship that I had with perfection. And so now I feel like there's at least a foot in the door. So when I catch myself, sometimes I catch myself with those habits of this has to be done a certain way. And then inside I have this thought of like, wait, no, it doesn't. And it's okay if you do it again, and so that has been, as far as my mindset goes, that's been the thing that has stuck and still continues to play out. And I think that it's probably been a slow process. I think probably, healing in general is a slow process. And real change, I think, can be a slow change. But I think as that continues, I think there will be more notice, like I'll be able to notice more. But that's what I've kept so far and continue using.
That's great. So I guess thinking about when we started till now, you weren't, you now have you're working, right, in a different capacity. And just thinking about perhaps, and maybe you haven't, how you are now compared to when you started, like how do you think coaching or even the thoughts or even the strategies have helped you in your current position? If you think about that.
Ask that one more time.
So, we've done a lot with coaching, just with like the beliefs or even reframing or, really just releasing a lot. So you're now in a new position, right, as a licensed professional counselor. So thinking about yourself when we started maybe like a year and a half ago to you now, what do you think has changed to help you be where you are now? And thinking back to, some of that coaching and then perhaps how it has impacted you today in your current position.
Um, I would say, I think this kind of goes with that perfection thing, or not having to be a perfectionist. Um, but I would say I'm a little bit more comfortable with not knowing and just taking opportunities that come and trying them out and being in that opportunity and realizing that, hey, I don't know if this is, where I'm going to be in a year or whatever, but that's okay. Um, so
Yeah, that makes sense. So it seems like more in the moment and not, and knowing that things could be changed, which is more of that cognitive flexibility, being able to roll with the punches and saying it's
yeah.
okay. I don't know. That's great. Okay. So specifically when you're thinking about coaching techniques and you did share that you use some of the stuff that I had, shared or worked with you through, but what techniques helped you the most?
Definitely the visualizations. Um, I love visualizing. I do that with a lot of people. Um, and just specifically, I remember my favorite thing, or my favorite, yeah, the thing that just really meant a lot to me was I one of the first maybe one or two meetings that we had, like I kept getting this image of like a backpack, and
Mhm.
you were like, "Can you give it to the Lord?" And I was just like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not doing that. And then you said, well, can you unzip it and just see what's in it? And that just like, and then eventually, like, and I did, like, in this picture in my mind. And then it was like, well, is there one thing in there you want to give away? And that just, that, that visualization is what I use a lot. Like, that kind of took I think there is a connection, of your, like, I guess your physiological response, I think is what it would be, to how you view your stress. And sometimes asking people to, hey, can you stop worrying? No, I can't do that. But peeling it just back a tiny bit, and just the idea of, can you lay down this one thing, not all of this, but just this one thing that um that's where I felt like I had the physiological, like, connection of my mind and my body of, like, hey, this stress is kind of it's, this can be undone, you know. So that's what I love to use with people.
That's great. And you brought up a good point because, yeah, sometimes when it comes to receiving, right, we don't know what's coming. That's more of that unexpected stuff that you talked about, even in future. And sometimes we're like, well, what are we going to get, right? Like if I have to give this away, what does that mean for me? And
Right.
so like, just taking that one layer. And there was something else with perfection that's coming back as we're talking. So I remember too, there was something where you were like, because of the perfection, you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm doing it right, or doing this wrong, or like it almost like was something that was happening. And so then I feel like some of the times it was more of a have like encouraging you and saying, whatever you do, right? Like whether you see something or you feel something, like I remember we kind of had some of that where it was like, you know, taking off the pressure of thinking that you had to get it right, or if you had to do it a certain way. And so do you remember that? And then perhaps even now how that may have changed where you don't feel like that pressure that you have to always do it right.
um yeah, just recently I noticed, I noticed that just in the past couple weeks, I've noticed the thought running through my mind, I can try it differently tomorrow, which has been very, like, I've never had that thought before, because everything did feel really kind of high stakes, and that no, it needed to be done perfectly right now. And so yeah, I just see, we were talking about wrote me back in.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so we were talking about the perfection, like right or wrong, and you just said that you
Yes,
had a thought about
yes.
that, which is awesome. Hmm.
Okay, so the right or wrong. Now it's more like, yeah, I don't know if this is right or wrong. I don't know, but I'm just going to, like, I can make a choice. I can choose, and then if I don't like it, or if there's some form of negative consequences, I can do it differently tomorrow, or I can do it differently, this afternoon. And those are thoughts that I didn't used to have ever. So I'll take that.
No, that's great. That's a huge thing, right? So sometimes there's that reframing, and even your brain starting to say, I don't have to have that. That's awesome.
It,
So I know
it
you talked,
doesn't feel huge though. That's the thing. It
yeah.
doesn't it doesn't feel huge. It's like teeny
Hmm.
weeny steps in the
Yeah.
same direction, I guess.
Yeah. And sometimes there are small, but I guess if you think about, even though it may not seem huge, like you freeing yourself from perfection, how big is that?
Yeah.
Because so I want you to think that way, right? And again, right, like there are small steps when you think about being freed from perfection, which really impacts a lot of people, and you starting to step away from that type of thought pattern. Um, you know, of course, small. I celebrate the small
Yeah.
too. I feel like that's a huge deal for you to say, I have this whole new thought pattern that, I don't have to have this, it's not black or white. I can, just hearing you. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I've
I
heard.
definitely think that it like, it opens, like, the possibility for a lot of things, but I just, if when I'm sharing, I
Mhm.
think I just like to say it doesn't feel huge
Yeah, yeah.
inside, um because that always, like, that always means a lot to me when someone is sharing their process. um I wish that I had, like, whims of, oh, this feels very important, you know but I don't know that I get those inspirations very often,
Yeah, yeah, sure.
if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And I guess because like when I'm hearing you and just like hearing you from when, we started till now, which sometimes we don't see our own progress, because I feel like it's like night and day as we're talking, which you might be like, oh no, it's just small. And just, for me, I'm just affirming you that I feel like there's a lot of huge things that I'm hearing, that we really, it was really small in some of those sessions, but it's turned big
Yeah.
in terms of like how that's impacting you in relationships and like your confidence, I think, even now, so just wanted to encourage you, maybe you're not seeing it like that, but I see the small and I agree with you, but I also feel like that's such a huge thing, because the mind belief shift, I think, is so huge. And when it starts to really solidify, it just opens a lot of doors, kind of like what you were talking about. So
Right.
um, so in terms of, coaching, and I always say coaching is beneficial, but I really all has to be a good fit for me. It has to be a good fit for the person, right? And so why, I always say it's beneficial, and I don't necessarily have to have it be about me, but certainly want you to share, like, how has this helped you, if you think about coaching in the long run, helped you to get to where you are now and where you think you're going, and perhaps just share your thoughts on that.
um I would say the long run is that you were very encouraging for me. Um, and so just being that in my ear, like, um, I can be a real big feeler, so if I'm feeling a lot of pain, that can be the thing that my eyes tend to focus on, and it can, like, I can look over all of the good things that are going on. And so, in sessions, like, I may be sharing things that feel detrimental or end of the world or something, but you were always really good about pulling out those pulling and pointing out those other aspects that were going well. and just being a really good encourager.
Appreciate that.
And it
Yeah.
made me like consider it, you know?
Well, that's good. No, well, yeah, well, and you're right. Like when we're feeling, right, there's a lot of emotion. It's important, right? Because sometimes you're just trying to process, well, how am I feeling, right? How is that impacting my decisions? And when we're in that big feeling thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just that, right, when we're in that, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming. So I'm glad that you felt encouraged, in what you were in that space. Okay. So I want you to think about 2 words of encouragement for the audience. It could be anything, like perhaps from your journey, or perhaps even thinking about women or men that we're at different parts of your journey, and they're needing the next steps. What would you share with them?
2 words of encouragement of people that are maybe similar spots of my journey.
Yeah, like anything that comes to mind for you, or perhaps something that maybe it's things that you've learned or something you want to share with them for them to keep going.
Yeah. Um, I I would say get get a coach or a mentor, or like I think you need somebody in your ear that is that can like that can help you see forward when you can't, when you when you're going through your own stuff and things feel heavy or discouraging, you sometimes you can lose your vision. And so just get somebody that is in close proximity to you, that can be speaking that, the forward vision that you want for your life. Like, you need somebody to be speaking that into your life regularly. um and so get them in your ear. If you know if you're paying a coach or whatever, um that's worth it. Having somebody that is constantly, because there's so much like stuff that you can hear. There's so much stuff that you can hear. So just be really intentional about what you are listening to, and who you're listening to, because um, that matters. All the things that rumble around on the inside and in your head, and that really matters. So that's for sure. Um, One big encouragement. And then the next one is, I just would say, like, keep going and trying. Um, I don't know. There's so many, I think there's a lot of different seasons, and we all have like, which seasons is such a weird word. I always like when people talk about seasons, I'm like, what exactly like quantifies or qualifies a season? Um, but yeah, just keep going. If you I don't know, just keep going, keep trying, keep going, keep trying, keep reading, um, keep praying, keep, like, even when you don't know what it is, what you need or what the direction is that you're going, just keep moving. And if your brain is like, I don't get that, then go on a walk, like, go move your body. If your heart feels hopeless. Um, I think we like, from the inside of us, I think that hope and love like moves us forward and grows us forward. So um, just keep moving forward in whatever. I'm not trying to be vague with that. Just people are at all kinds of different places, and so whatever area you're feeling stuck or not stuck, just keep moving.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth, for your words of wisdom. And so that's important, right? To keep moving and to keep doing something, even if it feels like it's stagnant. And also to, continue to be encouraged and even just celebrate where you are in the small steps, celebrate, even as Elizabeth just talks about the small things that seem small, but they're huge, right? Because they're like with your beliefs, but just celebrate the little things that you do each day, even if it is, like Elizabeth said, getting up and get going or taking a small walk. So thank you, Elizabeth, for that. So this comes to the conclusion of our interview today. Elizabeth, it's been wonderful. Thank you for it. Audience, remember, you're always loved, valued, and cherished and worthy. And so Elizabeth will have your information of how to be in touch with you. Audience, tune in next time and take care, and we'll see you then.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good to see you.
The Traumaplicity podcast is sponsored by Cognitive Release Coaching TM by Dr. Amanda Helman, who empowers people to release the busy brain and gain back time, energy, and productivity that leads to well-being. Contact Dr. Amanda Helman by checking out one of the links to this show. Subscribe and share the Traumaplicity podcast with people that can benefit.